Hi, core student ministry, adult volunteers, discipleship group leaders, leadership team, and parents. I have some notes here because I want to keep this video concise and short so that I don't take up too much of your time. But I'm recording this video to you today as a way to update everyone on our CDC guidelines, safe sanctuary policies, and discipleship group leadership. But before we jump into this video, I just want to say thank you for everyone who has risen to the challenge to volunteer for Core Student Ministries. But if you're still on the fence about helping out, that's completely okay, all right? Your prayers, you can help this ministry move mountains through them. Again, I want to keep this video very brief, so let's jump right into the CDC guidelines for COVID-19 that First Methodist Livingston here, the church, have adopted for the safety of its various ministries. Now, in all activities that Core Student Ministries does or hosts throughout the week, throughout the year, these are the guidelines that we will follow. We've talked about this a lot in various emails and videos and stuff, but I just want to quickly go over them again. Number one, all right, the first one is that we will maintain a distance of 6 feet apart unless you reside within the same household. Number two, masks must be worn at all times while you are on campus unless you are eating or drinking, you are preaching, or you are leading worship from the stage. And a quick side note, the children's ministry gifted the youth group with a bunch of masks with our brand on it. We have a black one with a white logo, and there's also one coming in that's white with our colored logo. So be looking out for those here shortly. And then lastly, number three, temperatures will be checked of all students, parents, and adult volunteers that are present for any and all activities. Now, if you are uncomfortable having your teenager participate in Wednesday night youth worship, do not worry. We do live stream our worship on YouTube right here, actually right on this channel, every single Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. It actually runs from 6 to 7 p.m. So those are the CDC guidelines. Now, I want to share with you Safe Sanctuary guidelines. Safe Sanctuary is a policy that the United Methodist Church uses, and this is a policy that is global. It's not just here at this specific congregation, but it is used denominational wide, and other denominations use it as well. But there are some guidelines that are provided to us by this policy. Number one, if you're an adult volunteer, parents, whatever the case may be, while you're on campus, never be alone with a student unless it's a life-threatening situation. For example, we do have showers over in the discipleship building, so if we're doing an activity and a student gets all dirty and they have some clothes and they take a shower, but they slip in the shower and say crack their skull open, that's okay for us to go in because it's a life-threatening situation. Number two, never use foul, derogatory, or profane language in front of a student or even in front of a parent, in front of anybody. Just don't do it at all. Number three, never give a student a ride home or to another location unless you have the express written consent from the parents or legal guardians and the permission from the Director of Student Ministries. When it is appropriate for you to give a student a ride home or to just a different location, you are required to have another adult in the vehicle with you. Preferably, that adult needs to be of an opposite gender to yourself and not related to you. Number four, refrain from physical contact with any students until a rapport has been developed between you, the student, and their parents or legal guardians. When that rapport has been developed, limit your physical contact to high fives and fist bumps, especially right now in this kind of COVID era, in this season that we're in right now. Really, really refrain it from anything more than that. And even with that, limit your high fives and fist bumps as much as you possibly can. Just because we want to continue to maintain the safety and integrity of the ministry without spreading germs and stuff. Now, side hugs, the typical youth pastor ministry, youth ministry side hugs, they are permissible only upon the express consent from the parents and legal guardians. Again, let's refrain from doing that as much as we possibly can, because when you're giving a side hug, you're now within that 6 feet distance, and we're not maintaining social distancing. And I know this is really hard because ministry is about relationships and about being together in community, but let's try to refrain and limit that as much as possible. Number 5, let's never engage in jokes or criticisms that degrade or devalue a person or a people group. Number 6, refrain from adding students to your personal social media platforms, again, unless you have the express written consent from the parents or legal guardians. Also, you'll want to limit your amount of communication with a student via text message or direct message via social media. That's just a way to keep you safe, keep the students safe, and to keep the ministry safe. Because people tend to say things that they otherwise wouldn't say in person via digital communication, or that statement might be misread on the other end. So let's just refrain and limit that as much as possible. And the number 8, always redirect the students to the Director of Student Ministries if you are uncomfortable with the amount or content of your conversations. Number 2, the student is threatening to harm themselves, another person, or property. And number 3, you suspect child abuse or neglect is taking place. Those are our safe sanctuary policies. Now I want to quickly dive into some tips and tricks for the discipleship group leaders. So if you're not familiar, our discipleship groups is technically a small group. It's a time where we kind of pray for one another, but we also discuss the sermon from the worship service that just took place. And we kind of unpack everything, kind of help to apply what we're learning in the worship service. So a couple quick tips and tricks. Number 1, if you are unsure on how to lead your group, always refer to the handout that I send out in our emails. Typically it happens right before lunchtime on Tuesdays, but always refer to that. That's the easiest way to be able to lead your group. We only have 30 minutes. It goes by really quickly, and depending on how the worship service goes, sometimes our time gets eaten into because the worship service is going a little longer. But number 2, create engaging discussions. Always ask open-ended questions, such as, what is your interpretation of tonight's Bible verses? Or, how does that make you feel? Or, why do you believe that? Now, when you ask these open-ended questions, please make sure that when you're asking them, you make it perfectly understood that there's no judgment, you're not criticizing. You personally want to know more of what they're thinking. You want to follow their train of thought. Because the truth is, teenagers really love to talk and they really want to share, and some of them have some brilliant ideas. And so by creating these open-ended questions, it helps to create an engaging discussion. Number 3, be honest with the students. If you feel that an individual or a group of students is being disrespectful, call out the group. Say, hey guys, hold on for a second. Listen, I'm the leader and I feel really disrespected right now because people are talking over me or they're interrupting each other. Call the group out, but please don't ever, if it's an individual's doing it, don't ever call out the individual. That will always isolate them and it will cause conflict and cause problems. Always just call out the group. Now, if you don't have an answer to a question that they ask you, that's completely okay. Tell them that you'll do some research and you'll get back to them, or that you're going to come to the Director of Student Ministries to kind of seek some guidance and some counsel. And I need you to remember this, and I need you to hear me very clearly on this. You do not have to always have the answer. I've been in ministry for 10 years. I have my master's degree in theological studies, and I don't have all the answers. And this is what I do for a living. So it's okay if you don't have the answers. And then when the students do things right, or maybe they provide a well thought out argument, affirm them in that. Recognize, in a positive manner what they're doing. Because the more that we positively reinforce the students, the more we're going to get positive behavior. Number 4, share your own life experiences in a manner that is appropriate. You have a lot to share. You have a lot of experiences that these students can learn from and grow from. You may have gone through divorce as a child, and by sharing your experience of that, there is a student who's going to connect to that. Maybe when you were a teenager, you had a friend get hurt, or you remember that heartbreak that very first time. Share these experiences with the students, because that's how they learn and grow, but also that helps to build that bond between you and the students. But please never share your private details about these experiences. Don't share kind of what happened between you and your girlfriend on prom night. That stuff's just not appropriate. Don't necessarily share what mom and dad did to you when they were going through the divorce. That stuff's just really not appropriate. But still share your experiences with them. Number 5, take notes about things that are important to either the individual students or the group. And you'll know it's important because they keep talking about it. They keep referencing it. They keep saying it over and over and over again. Take notes of those things. Whether it's just remembering in your mind or even on the discipleship group handout, write down some notes. And then in a couple of weeks, maybe the next Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays after, follow up with them and see how they're doing. Because that for them demonstrates you're taking an interest in what they care about and what they like. And then number 6, above all else, always, guys, please always point them to Jesus. And pray with them, pray for them. Because when you do these things, man, that's just going to help your relationship with them, but it's also going to help their relationship with God and with Jesus. And lastly, I've arranged each of the spaces that each discipleship group meets in order to satisfy the CDC guidelines, in order to satisfy the 6 feet social distancing. And so right now, here's a video of what the space for the junior high boys looks like. And then here's what the junior high girls space looks like. Here's what the senior high boys space looks like. And here's what the senior high girls space looks like. Now, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to contact me directly. Call me, text me, direct message me on social media. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you at worship. Bye.